Hey folks, Chad Duplantis here with Dentist in the Know, and I am here with my good friend Rob Brenneise, who is the Chief Growth Officer of Glidewell Dental. Rob, welcome. I've known you for a long time. We're going to have a lot of fun, but as we get started, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, so Rob Brenneise, Chief Growth Officer, which that title's a little too specific for me.
Okay.
It says grow the biggest lab in the world. I would have rather had Chief Sales Officer or Revenue Officer where you can hide a little bit. Joined Glidewell back in 2017 and 36 years in this industry. Only thing I know.
Yeah. Well, I met you in 2017, and we were like, "Who's this guy? Who's this guy?" And man, it's been so fun to watch your meteoric rise through the company. To me, it's always exciting to see somebody who joins a company and then see how that company embraces that somebody. And I've just watched them totally embrace you, and you've done a fantastic job. But
Thank
before we get started, I'm a historian. So would you just, before we go into anything, would you tell us a little bit of the history of Glidewell Laboratories? Because it's such a unique story, and it's an amazing story.
Yeah, and so back to being in this business 36 years and always the lab space, education, sales, marketing, there's nothing like Glidewell. And I always knew they were the biggest, but once I got here and really got embedded in this culture and organization, 56 years in business, Mr. Glidewell, Jim Glidewell started this in his kitchen. Basically on a Friday, he was a lab tech in an office. The doctor told him shutting the doors, and on Monday he started Glidewell. And somehow, out of 5,000 labs in the U.S., 45,000 in the world, he has built the biggest lab, bar none. And it's mind-blowing when you get a chance to see it, as I know you have. And it's a unicorn in this space. And I don't think I'm being arrogant or, from my own perspective. I hear it all the time.
You know, there's a couple of things that come from Glidewell that I've learned over the years that I want to share before we get into anything. And the first is that not only is Mr. Glidewell a brilliant man, he came from nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, he really had a very humble upbringing, and really made something out of himself. The other thing is he's not like the Wizard of Oz. If you go to Glidewell for an event, you will not only probably meet him, but you will probably attend an event at his home. There's nothing braggadocious about him. I've had wonderful conversations with him, and to see what they've built, the buzzword anywhere is always innovation, but you want to talk innovation. And that's going to get to my next question. I've seen this lab constantly innovate, but I'm going to ask a really weird question. And I'm going to frame it up just the way that it comes to a lot of people's minds. Why in the hell would Mr. Glidewell want to create a system that people can use in their office that competes with his laboratory? And then the second part of the question is, or does it?
Yeah.
And so let's talk about the
great
.io
second
system.
part of the question. I've heard the first question, what feels like on a daily basis, both from dentists and just the industry. Yeah, why would the biggest lab in the world make a machine you can mill crowns in your office and not send to Glidewell or any lab?
Yep.
Gosh, I got a few answers. The first one that comes to mind is Mr. Glidewell has always been be your own disruptor, right? Control your own destiny. And his book, that's a plug, Constant Change, has that in there. And I think that's always been a philosophy of his. But I think my favorite answer to that question is, I also think we might truly be the only lab in the, I'll say, world that has the foresight, talent, resources to do that. And because we're so much more than a lab and just making teeth, which we make millions of, but there's R&D, we produce our own, the mill's made at Glidewell in California, the blocks that go in there are made at Glidewell, the software is Glidewell's. So it's back to that vertical integration, which I know you've heard plenty about. And then the other two parts to that question, or two answers I would have, it's Blockbuster Netflix.
Yeah.
We could say we're the biggest lab, everybody loves us, and they just want to send us cases. and put our head in the sand, and then before you know it, there's one Blockbuster store left, or realize this is where the future's going. Technology and software and materials, offices are going to be doing more in their practice, and it puts us in a very unique position because we can meet the doctor where they're at. And I always say this, I think if you go talk to a print, and we'll talk printing hopefully, if you go to a printer company, they're going to say print everything, you don't need a lab. Go to a lab, they're going to say don't print or mill anything, you need me. Or go to a mill, sales company is going to tell you mill everything, you don't need a lab. We think there's a spot for all three, and they're going to complement each other, and we're going to meet you where you are, and hopefully you'll choose to work with us.
There's absolutely a spot for all three. But I think that the mindset was that Mr. Glidewell started seeing what was happening in the technological world of dentistry. And I had a lab many years ago that said technology was the worst thing that ever happened to their laboratory. It's like, I lost clients over it, I lost this, I lost that, whereas Mr. Glidewell kind of thought outside the box and said, I'm going to figure out a way that we can help these dentists embrace technology by embracing technology ourselves and building a system for them. And I'm a big believer in technology implementation and integration needs to be systematic, methodical, and understood. When you integrate it into your office, it needs to be that way. But let's talk about the lineage of how you all started rolling out these .io products for doctors to use within their office, because it was very systematic.
It was. And that was my original reason for joining Glidewell, which was to launch IO. And you're right, it was a great position to be in. If I think back to our first year, as you know, 2018 is when we officially launched. It was amazing because we were asked to only get so many units out there.
Yeah.
It wasn't take over the world. It was, I think it was 100 units. Get 100 units out there. Let's make sure we have the right support systems in place and we know what's happening in the office when customers actually have it. And it's intoxicating to work in that environment, that it truly is about the customer.
Absolutely.
And let's get it right so that we can scale and support it. One of the advantages I think about I'll say late to the party and milling, is being able to address all the pain points that you were able to see over the last 30 years, which is the support,
Sure.
implementation, even the steps to do the process, which we think we've answered and took away some of those concerns.
Yeah, and I love how you mentioned scaling, because that was my biggest fear when you all rolled out .io. I mean, in the beginning, you partnered with a scanner company. You had the mill. I mean, hell, I had a TS-150. Mm-hmm. So and I believe that I had one of the first 5 .io mills that were out in the nation.
Yep.
And so I've been a big believer for many years. But I was worried about scale, because what happens when technology, folks, I'm just going to say it, and I'm going to look right at the camera when I say this. Contrary to what anybody says, technology will fail you from time to time. Absolutely. That's part of life. The problem is that when technology fails you, it's how the company answers it. So when something goes down that's completely out of the control of me, of you, it's a cloud, which it usually is 9 times out of 10, I get a notification almost instantaneously. Hey, .io's down. .io's back up. Thank you for that. You don't know how valuable that is. The second is, when we talk about scaling, Mr. Glidewell is huge on a human interaction. And when you call, he wants a human to answer the phone. Your team that's dedicated to technical support from Glidewell.io, let's face it, you're in California, I'm in Texas. I'll have an issue at 8 a.m. They're there. I have an issue at 6 p.m. They're there. It's been scaled very well. They're trained very well, and a lot of them have come from within.
Yes.
Because when jobs are removed due to technology or AI, they are replaced due to technology or AI and somewhere else. It's awesome. There's always an answer to technology failing.
Yeah. Actually, on that point, you're right. I was just at a lecture this morning of our CEO at a different meeting, and it was with labs talking about how technology and even AI now is going to replace people and take jobs away. And her slide or her topic answer was, look, when she started, there was 1,000 Glidewell employees. There's 5,000 now. And the technology has just been exploding in those 20 years. And that was the answer. We repurposed. Yeah. We found new roles. There's no more plaster department, things like that. And so, and back to your comment about wanting a human touch, being the big lab national, that's something he's always been. Our pictures are on our business cards, on our emails, because we want a face to that. You call, we get 7,000 calls a day, answered by a person, and I think it's 9 seconds is the average answer time.
And I can attest to it, that is true. And I know that you all are on that, and that's what makes you great. So before we move on, talk about where you guys went after the mill. What was next?
Yeah, so still feeding that machine, and it's got a lot of growth in front of it in our roadmap for the next 5 years, what we think we can do there. But 3D printing, is a part of what's coming and having great success out there. So we've got a fast print. We partnered with Lux Creo. Just same thing. We think we can disrupt printing like we did milling, because all printers can print kind of the same things, different, there's different resins available, but it's going to come down to software support and materials, and that's where we think we can be better.
Yeah, and is it true that there might be like some sort of a liner system at Glidewell now?
Yeah, so I've been asked my 9 years here always by our customers, and for years we just said, no, we don't do them, that's not for us. And about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years now, I'm not sure, we got in the game. And it's been a huge success for us. We're real excited, great response. And it's just something, kind of the way we do things. We're not necessarily out there telling the world, trying to switch everybody. It's if somebody's looking to switch, then we have an option. And we think we've got a great offering back to that level of support and everything we try to give to everything we do.
So you've got all these incredible products, but you guys were the first, if I believe, to bring zirconia to a mill.
Yes.
Okay. So now we have zirconia, we have aesthetic zirconia, we have aesthetic posterior zirconia, we have hybrid ceramics, we have lithium disilicate or lithium silicate.
Well, and lithium disilicate.
And lithium disilicate now. Okay, so lithium silicate, lithium disilicate. We have bridges out of zirconia, and the latest, of course, biotints. The latest innovation that I've seen is the new millable implant.
So the Bruxer screw retain crown. So that you can mill at about the same time you mill your normal Bruxer crown. It's a pre-cemented. You've got a screw retain crown. You can mill in under 40 minutes, about half the cost of your lab or even our lab.
So outside of I/O, I think we nailed that. I want to ask, because this is probably one of the slickest things that I've ever seen. I watched it at inception. We weren't allowed to talk about it. We were able to see it. But I call it the Bruxer train. So when somebody sends a Bruxer into your office, when you send, or into your laboratory, most laboratories are using pucks. Your Bruxer train, can you talk to that a little bit as to how that whole process works and how many human hands it touches along the way?
Yeah, I can, and it's fresh on my mind because our CEO mentioned it today too, so it's going to help me. So you called it a Bruxer train. Internally, we call it Bruxer Factory, which is a terrible name. But basically, when a doctor scans, sends to Glidewell, it's going to the cloud, mark a margin, design the crown, and straight into a machine that's run by 2 robots, right? One robot grabs the block, makes sure it's the right shade, scans it for any imperfections. If it passes, it hands it to the other robot, and it's just loading and unloading blocks, milling these zirconia crowns, puts it on a conveyor belt, and a human doesn't touch it until it's time to do some of the staining. The beauty about this, as she mentioned today, those lines can do 2,500 units a day with about 40 people. To do that across the parking lot where we're still doing it the analog way, it could take about 140 people. The advantage for the business side is at our size and scale, human capital in Orange County where we are is hard to find lab techs, as we continue to grow. But the best part, it is faster, easier, and better. The remake rates that come out of there are lower than the analog way. And I think that's simple. If you and I made the same crown, it's going to be different. Right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And here it's not. And the one thing I forgot that I think is the coolest part of it, there's no human QC. The final restoration is scanned and compared to the original design, and if it meets all the specs, it passes. And same thing, if you and I are doing physical QCing in the morning or 5 p.m., we're going to be different. This isn't. So awesome. I think it just gives it's a better product ultimately, which is what's important for the customer and the patient.
So, you know, I'm going to say this, and I'd said it many, many years ago, and Stephanie kind of looked at me and laughed and said, thank you. I'm going to invite everybody to Glidewell Laboratories.
Yes.
Okay? And when I first did that, Stephanie looked at me and she goes, okay. And but it's so funny that I invite you out there. I don't own any part of Glidewell Laboratories, but I think that it is such an amazing experience. So the way I'm going to invite you out there, though, is I'm going to ask you to go to an educational event out there. Tell us a little bit about what you all are doing in education out there, because it's fantastic.
It is, and it's one of our 3 pillars that we just love to do, and it's one of I think the best things we do in this industry. I like to think of it as the best value in dentistry. So all of our courses in Irvine at the campus, when you register, your registration includes 2 nights hotel.
That's awesome.
And the price of the courses are about $700 or something, plus 2 nights hotel, 2 days CE, food, drink, and many times you mentioned the house. You know, at our bigger events when we have 200 plus people, we do an evening event that is usually at Mr. and Miss Glidewell's home.
Yeah.
And you know, it's an absolute amazing experience. I've said to Stephanie and Mr. Glidewell, because I want everybody to come out there, we should quit spending money on marketing and let me just bring everybody here. You know, and I say it half jokingly, but it's that important. If we can get people to come and really see what we're about, both in culture and technology and products, I think both sides win.
Well, we have our practice just brought on a new associate, and so she came out there, and they were having a symposium out at Glidewell. And it was an aesthetic symposium, and it was funny because I was asked to speak at it, and I could not go because of the timing with my daughter going back to college, and I had to take her back. And I was like, hey, if you want to learn aesthetics, why don't you go to Glidewell? $500, 2 nights hotel. All she had to pick up was her airfare. And by the way, if you haven't been to John Wayne Airport or Orange County Airport, it's my favorite airport in the world. Easy in, easy out. To me, it is one of the best experiences for any new young doctor, any doctor of any age. But if you've never been to Glidewell, she came back and she was just absolutely blown away. I mean, just was, and you really become invigorated. It really, like you said earlier, intoxicating. It's intoxicating with dentistry. I mean, it just really, if you're not excited when you're leaving there, then something's wrong with you. And so the educational offerings, we used to have a big symposium that was 1 per year. It was just an electric room. And of course, Mr. Glidewell and team say, let's take it back in-house. Let's build a new educational facility. Let's have it here. And all of us were like, man, I liked going to DC. I liked going to Orlando. I liked going to Texas. And then now it goes back in-house and you're like, man, this was a good idea. This was a good idea. So what it allowed them to do is have multiple symposiums throughout the year, very engaging, very interactive. And oh yeah, you get 2 nights of hotel as well, but very reasonably priced. And somebody asked me yesterday during one of my lectures, they said, where should I go to learn more about veneers? I said, the first place I would go is go to Glidewell. Go to Glidewell and get that experience, because the doctors that are speaking at those symposiums are top-notch. You're going to get a really good intro, and then you can figure out what you want to do after that. But you're going to learn a lot there, and there's hands-on, great experiences. I encourage everybody to go there.
Yeah. And to your point, we used to do the big one, 1,000 people in Orlando was the last one, do them once a year. This year we're going to do 14 symposiums, and we started with 3 when we brought it back in-house. But the advantage is, since we can do 14, now they're specific. Like you said, there's an aesthetics or implants, digital, removables, whatever you're looking to learn about. And it really is a better experience.
And I mean, let's just, talk everything here. The freaking food is amazing, okay? You ever seen a cold seafood tower at a restaurant? You will see one on steroids at Mr. Glidewell's house. But even the lunches, the breakfast that is provided, it is all top-notch. Very, very well done. Let's move on. I want to talk a little bit about one of your newer innovations, if you will, Glidewell TV.
Yes. This is exciting, and we're probably maybe a little too excited about it. But you have to think, you could be at home and you could have Netflix, Amazon Prime, and Glidewell TV, because I know your family would love you to bring more work home.
Love it, yeah.
Or it can be on your phone or computer. But yeah, it's literally like a Netflix. So we have over 100 CE videos on there. Many of the symposiums we do, the lectures get put on there. We have a patient education channel, and this is all at no cost, that you can play in a waiting room or an operatory. Our CEO has a podcast, Lasting Impressions. She'll interview, people in the industry. She's got a great series with Mr. Glidewell. I think they did a 6-part series walking through kind of his book and his life. And it's amazing to hear it from his own words. Reading is great too. But yeah, and we've got we built 2 new studios in there for this. Essentially hired a director to run the TV, and really looking forward to what we can do with this as we continue to grow it.
I'm really excited for what's coming with Glidewell TV. I mean, I've heard about it, seen a little bit of it. The more we talked about it before the show and during this, I'm sitting here going, this is going to be pretty cool. Let's talk a little bit about what's this next day crown.
Oh, yeah. So that's, we rolled it out last year. We already have, I believe, at least industry leading or tied for the best turnaround times, right? 3 days on a digital case, 5 days on a physical. Mr. Glidewell considers speed as a product. And, anytime your patients are running around less days with a temporary, everybody's going to be happier. So we have, no matter where you are in the country, if you send us a case by 2 p.m. your time zone, you'll have the crown back the next day, 10:30 a.m. FedEx. And it's been a huge success, obviously, for the, emergency patients, right? You get that, it's a Thursday, I broke a tooth, I'm going to a wedding. So that makes perfect sense. But what we've started to see in that business is offices realizing, and I'll say the price, I guess, it's $149 for a next day crown, including FedEx shipping. So it's pretty reasonably priced, that they're starting to just turn their business into that, so they have the cases. So if a patient does have a temporary come off and says, Dr. Duplantis, my temp came out, you say, great, come on in, we got your crown. And you're eliminating that third or non-revenue appointment. Or if you had a cancellation, you could call and say, I'll call you Chad for this.
Yeah.
Hey, Chad,
Chad all the time.
I can't. Hey, Chad, we had an appointment canceled today and I have an opening. Do you want to come and get your crown? And then you don't have those open spots on the schedule.
Now that's unique. It's something that people don't offer. And I want to reiterate, this does not mean that you have to have a mill in your office, because this is done and it's back the next day. But one of the things that we didn't touch upon that I want to bring up, because it's come up a couple times. What if I wanted a mill, but I really kind of want to be hands-off on the design? Is there a design service that you all offer?
So absolutely. Both, 2 parts to that. When you have a mill and we train you in your office, at any time if you are designing, you can call us and our team can get into your file and help you if you're stuck. Or like you said, if I don't have time to design, I'm behind or somebody's out or I'm short, you can just hit a button, send to us, we'll design it, have it back to you in 15 minutes or less.
Or if you get to the point, which has happened before, where you just throw your hands up in frustration, there's a button on there that says send to Glidewell.
Send to the lab.
And it's back in 3 days.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Unless you sign up for the 24-hour turnaround crown.
That's right.
So once again, innovation, constantly evolving. This lab, it's doing so much for the dental profession, for all of us. What else is new?
I think two of our most exciting things, we talked education. At some point this year, we'll be opening an East Coast facility.
Okay.
We get about 6,000 dentists a year come through our campus, and we love it. But we know not everybody will come either, across the country to California. So we're going to build a bigger and better place than what we have in California on the East Coast. Looks like it'll be in North Carolina.
Right on.
And everything we do in California we'll offer over there so that we can be
Symposiums and all of that. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, so North Carolina.
Just do East Coast, West Coast, and hopefully be more accessible to more offices.
All right. That's
so
that's going to be within the next year.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Knowing Glidewell, it'll be pushed to have it up and running at some point the second half of this year.
So what does this do for jobs? I believe that creates some jobs, doesn't it?
It does, absolutely.
Are
Great
there
point.
some people that will be transferred?
Yeah, I'm sure we would like that.
Yeah.
Because obviously we got plenty of people and we know and they know what we're doing. So that would be part of it, and then of course it'll open up new roles over there.
That's awesome.
And if that'd be a huge, not huge job opening, a huge opportunity for growth. Because it's a lot to put on all these courses.
I think there would be a lot of states that would be vying for the opportunity to have you all with the amount of jobs that you'll create at a facility as large or larger than the one in California. So, anything else?
One other one that you talk about being a disruptor, Mr. Glidewell. This year, actually, we're talking about it here at the booth. We'll be launching free implants.
What the hell does that mean?
That's what our CFO said. Like, how's that work? So basically, if you're replacing Glidewell implant and then you restore with us, you get credit for a free implant.
Okay.
So if, when you buy our implant kit, you get 20 or 30 implants with it, and then you're never paying for implants again. And that's a big deal. We are already a great price. We used to be about $168, which was a good price. 2 years ago, maybe, we lowered it to $99. And Mr. Glidewell said, we know what it costs to make an implant. People shouldn't be paying $300 or $400 for an implant. And I mean, I'll say this because he says it at our shows. It costs $22 to make an implant.
Yeah.
Well, why are we charging $300 and $400 so we can make them, and they're made at the campus, as you've seen right there in California. We make them made in the USA, lifetime warranty. Just place it, restore with us, and you're not paying for the implants.
And I will say, I mean, if you've ever questioned the quality, don't. I can speak to it. I've seen it. I've seen it change over the years. Glidewell has become a leader not only in quantity, but in quality as well. The implants if I don't place implants, but if I were, it's definitely a system that I would consider because every aspect has been thought out. And it's a very impressive system. You can talk to a lot of implant surgeons and they're very impressed with it. So I'm excited for you, bud. I'm honored that you came to the booth today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. And man, let's do it again.
Yes, absolutely.
All
Appreciate
right.
it.
Thank you very much, bud.
Thank you.